Stay empowered, aiming it when it's hard to see. Patient come with time, just keep on believing. Yeah, we got to stay prayed up when it don't feel like enough. Hold on to the grind, come renew your mind, yeah. Let's talk, let's talk. Hanging in my yellow Rayla. Let's talk, let's talk. Hanging in my yellow Rayla. You gotta know.
What is up, YouTube family? This is your girl, RaylaMoore, back for another video of Let's Talk, where we encourage, empower, and enlighten. We keep it lit, but we stay enlightened. For my day ones who have been here since day one, thank you so much for joining me yet again for another week. And for those who are new to this channel, this may be your first time, your first video that you've watched of mine, welcome. And I'm so glad you're here, and I hope that something is said or shown specifically today that helps you out. So for those who know this channel, you all may realize that my setup today is a little different. Yes, we are in my kitchen, and what I try to do with this channel is show a holistic way of living with what I say, how I live, and what I share with you guys. And so not just being spiritual, but also taking those natural steps that we have to take to be healthy and to work out and to eat right. And so today is one of those practical videos, and I basically decided to take one of my meal prep days and pull y'all in with me. Yes, y'all are going to be meal prepping with me today, and today I will be making chicken. I meal prep chicken and taco salad. So I'll just be prepping the meat today and kind of showing you how I assemble it, being that is what I'm actually having for dinner tonight, taco salad. I'm ready. I'm going to be doing both of them kind of at the same time because the chicken has to marinate for 30 minutes. So while that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and make the taco meat because it's really fast, really easy, really simple. And I hope that some of the little life hacks I let y'all in on are helpful and useful to you in your kitchen. Let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you guys is how I make my marinade. Scooch over a little bit so you can see. And basically what I do is I take extra virgin olive oil and balsamic vinegar and I mix the two. I'm not a measurer, okay? I don't measure out how I do this. I just kind of eyeball it. So I have a good amount of chicken, so I want to make sure I have a good amount of oil. Just enough to cover the bottom, really. And then not as much, but a good portion of balsamic vinegar. There you have that. Looks nasty, smells kind of gross, but it's fine, it'll taste good. So now what I'm going to do, I finally chopped some fresh garlic, and I just like it. You don't necessarily have to do this, but I like the taste of fresh garlic because I also use the garlic in a tube. I think I just like garlic. I also use the minced garlic. You can use that as well, and you don't have to chop fresh garlic if you don't want to. I just use both. I just like my chicken I want to be able to taste the garlic in my chicken. So I use a little extra and I use both methods. Now I'm going to get started on putting my seasonings in. So I have some thyme leaves. A trick that I learned when putting seasonings in a marinade or marinating anything is that when you take it out of the container to crush it a little bit, so you get the fullness of the flavor that you're using. So there is some thyme. And again, I don't measure. Just go according to what you think. Up to you. It's your world. I'm just living in it. And then I also have some oregano leaves that I'm going to do the exact same thing with. And even though it's already crushed, I'm going to further crush some rosemary in here as well. Now, mind you, I did get this recipe from a fellow YouTuber. She's a cook, and it's called Dishin with LiQWYD. And the recipe, for the most part, is hers, but I do add my own bit of flair to it, such as with the extra garlic, and I also add some cayenne because I like a little spice. Just a little, not much. But yeah, so if you want to go check out some more recipes, she's legit. So then I'm also going to add some paprika. Not too much, but just enough. That cayenne boo, you know what I'm saying? Get a little heat kicking in the marinade. And then obviously your salt and pepper. Salt. Himalayan pink salt, people. Invest in it, okay? It's delicious. It tastes just like salt, and it's better for you. So why not make the investment? And it's pink. You know, who doesn't like pink? And then your pepper. You just do this until your arms get tired. Now, the last two things that I'm going to add in here, which really do make the dish pop and really make this marinade as good as it is Dijon mustard and regular sugar, okay? The real stuff, okay? And I usually just take about like 4 pinches, 3 to 4 pinches, and it gives it a good, like, a little bit of a sweet taste, which is actually pretty nice. So this is kind of what you have, obviously, before you stir it, and you just stir it all together. So with the marinade done and the seasonings put away, I have the chicken here. Now, what I like to do is, since I know I'm not going to heat the chicken breast this large, and I want to make this stretch, right? I'm meal prepping. So I sometimes cut these 1 or 2 times the long way, like this, all the way across, and I score it. Well, I think that's what they call it. At least it makes sense to me. So, just as an example, I'll take something like this, and I'll just start in the center, or on one of the edges, and just cut all the way through. Careful not to cut myself in the process. So that I'm getting somewhat thinner pieces. And sometimes I even cut those pieces in half. Just depends. So I have cut pretty much all my pieces up and turned what was 6 chicken breasts into at least 12 to 15. So, you know, again, want to make this stuff last. So when it comes to, I guess, what they call scoring, I'm really guessing that's what it's called. I'm basically going to create some slits along the presentation side of the chicken breast, so that way when it's marinating, it can really get the full marination that it needs. Just to show you guys, you're basically going to cut the chicken, but not all the way through, and create that type of slit. And you're going to do that as many times as the chicken allows you to. Another thing that's beneficial about this is that you can actually see when it's done. That was a big thing for me, because I used to overcook my chicken because I wasn't sure if it was done on the inside. And scoring or cutting into the meat prior to cooking helped me get a better idea. And it was much more moist and tender than before. So this helps a lot, especially when you're cooking. Cut through a little bit, but that is basically what you want. Ready to go in the marinade. Alright, y'all, so I am scoring my last piece of chicken, or whatever it's called. And as I've been doing it, I've been putting it in the marinade. As you can see, it may look like there's more chicken than marinade, but once you actually start to toss it with your hands, everything will get covered. Trust. So that is the next step. The messy part, the fun part, is you basically just go in and you start folding all of the chicken to a point where everything gets as covered as possible. Alright, y'all, so all of the chicken is pretty evenly coated, and I'm going to let this sit out for about 30 minutes. I'm going to cover it with some foil just so, you know, nothing lands on it. And in 30 minutes, it'll be ready to cook. Alright, so while I'm waiting on my chicken to marinate, I'm going to go ahead and get started on the taco meat. First, I'm going to throw in a good amount of Pick Sweet Farms. They are in the freezer department at Walmart. It is a 3-pepper blend and onion blend. So it has all 3 types of bell peppers and onions if you don't feel like sitting there chopping. I usually don't, so this is the way to go. So I'm starting off by putting a good amount of peppers and onions. Get the aroma going through the house, you know. I'm gonna get ready to put in my ground turkey. I personally suggest getting the 93% lean and the 7% fat, just so you're not getting a whole lot of fat from your protein and you're getting more protein than you are fat. So, and of course, people typically use ground beef, ground turkey. It just gives you more of a reason to get more of it because it's healthier, right? So as y'all can see, the turkey is cooking pretty fast and well. Turn it down a bit. And as with most meats, it's creating its own juice, if you can see that. And since I'm making taco meat for taco salad and not taco soup, I am going to pour that out just a bit. Now I'm just going to add some taco seasoning. I'm going to add the remainder of this packet. Even though it says 6 servings, since I've used it before, it's down to about 3. It's about half the packet. And because I'm not eating all of this at one time, it's not going to hurt me as far as the sodium content, because I'm only getting a fraction every time that I eat a serving of the taco salad. And another thing that I learned is really good in taco meat is salsa. Like when you cook it. Usually you put it on like on the taco or on the burrito or whatever the case. But when you put it in the meat, all the little chunks of tomatoes and flavor, it gets cooked and it's really, really good. So I pour a hefty amount of salsa in as well. And that's another reason why I pour out that juice that the meat creates, because what I'm adding is going to create its own juices. Then another thing that I add are black beans. I love beans. I'm a huge bean fan. Like, I will kill some chili if there's a lot of beans in it. I will eat beans by themselves. I eat beans and crackers. I know crackers is weird to eat with beans, but I like it. It's very good. Premium and like refried beans are amazing. So sometimes I'll even crush these up and like eat it as bean dip. I love beans, right? So what I do is I get the no salt added. Why? Because I'm trying to minimize as much as possible my sodium intake when making this, because if you're not careful, you can go really overboard with salt and sodium. And when you have, you know, are trying to avoid getting any high blood pressure, diabetes, things like that, you want to watch your salt intake. As I told y'all earlier, I like little spice, so I also add some cayenne to the mix. I'm like the messiest cook, I'm not even gonna lie to you. But what fun is cooking if it's not a little messy, right? So I guess I'm doing something right. Alright, you guys, so this is what the meat is looking like. It looks nice and flavorful. Everything is brown. You got your black beans, you got your tomatoes from the salsa, you got your onions and your bell peppers all worked up in there. And of course, to make sure it's up to par, I have to taste. So I'm going to try to get a little bit of everything, a little bit of bean, a little bit of pepper. Best part, tasting. Now, of course, once the meat is done, you are done, my friend. So what I do is I just get me a nice handy dandy Tupperware, you know, to put it away, and you store in your refrigerator until you are ready to eat. Now, this bowl will typically last me between 4 and 5 days, depending on the portion, basically the portion sizes that I use, because I will use a bowl either like this, so where there's more in the bottom, so I use more meat. But if I'm trying to cut back on my portions, I'll use something more like this, which is not as deep, and there's not as much space at the bottom for all that meat with my other stuff that I put on top. So it varies. And 6 days probably is the longest, especially if I'm coordinating or going between this and chicken, which, speaking of, let's get back to it. All right, you guys, so our chicken has been marinating for about 30-35 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and start cooking. To my right, I have basically just like a little cookie sheet with foil at the bottom and some paper towels on top, just to eliminate any excess grease, obviously. And let's get our first one on there. And I find that also using a non-stick skillet with chicken also is very beneficial. Cause I tried my little raggedy ones, they wasn't cutting it. All right, y'all, so I'm about to do the flip of my first batch so you can get an idea of what it looks like. And here we go. Ooh, yes, ma'am. That's how we want it to look. We start seeing it's starting to get cooked around the edges, that's when we want to flip it. Thankfully with these, you can flip them as much as you want back and forth without it getting tough. So, we in business, baby. Show you guys how I store the chicken once it's cooked. So I have this little container. Sometimes I have to use more than one depending on how much chicken there is. So basically all I do is just take the chicken, put it right in there. And y'all, I ate a little one. Oh, I'm working on it right now. When I tell you this chicken is fire. And I actually make a sauce to go with it, but the way this is tasting. I might not need no sauce, you know? Very tender, there it goes. Very tender, cooked all the way through. Bomb.com. Containers full of chicken, right? So this, again, along with the taco or the turkey meat, lasts me well over a week. Well over a week, especially if I am being careful with my portions and things like that. It lasts me a while. So not only does it save my well-being, but it also saves my pocketbook from going out and spending money. Now, when it comes to the chicken, of course, I don't like to just eat it by itself. So I also want to show you how I make my sweet potato mashed potatoes. All right, so the way to make these sweet mashed potatoes is super simple. It sounds complicated, but it's not. And y'all, I'm not no chef, okay? And I don't really have patience to watch my potatoes boil for an hour. So these things work for me, okay? They're regular sweet potatoes. They're just in a container. I get these at Walmart, and you literally put them in the microwave for about 8 minutes. And when you take them out, they're already nice, ready to use, ready to mash. No hassle, really simple. And especially when I'm meal prepping, I like to have a good amount. I do not take the skin off, and you do not take them out of the container. You put them in there just like this. Super simple. I cut off the edges. I put them in a bowl. I have all my ingredients, which include butter, milk, nutmeg, cinnamon, of course, and the big winner, brown sugar. Brown sugar. Alright y'all, so I have the sweet potatoes here. As you can see, it's about 5 per container, and they're all nice and smooth. The skin is still on, as I said. And before I actually start mashing, I just like to cut through the sweet potatoes just to, you know, check that they're done. And most of the time, they are. And this is no different. This time is no different. They are done. And also during this time, I like to incorporate some milk. And I'm using Silk. I like to be generous because really the potatoes just suck it all up pretty much. Then I'm going to add some butter. I have here some cinnamon. So basically I just incorporate everything before I actually mix it with my mixer. And then I have some nutmeg that has not been opened. Hold up. Okay, so some nutmeg. Add a little spice. Everything nice. And then the brown sugar. With the brown sugar, I kind of just grab a clump of it, like so, and just sprinkle it inside. And of course, as you mix it, you can taste, you can see if it needs anything more. So let's get to mixing. Once everything's kind of destroyed, basically, go in with the spoon and just stir. I did keep the skin in, so if you decide to do the same, just know that, of course, that's going to make the mixture not thicker, but you're just going to have some clumps in there. But they're good for you, so that's why I keep them in. And they don't really taste, they don't make it taste any different to me personally, but not everybody likes the skin. So it's completely up to you. Alright guys, we have mashed all of our sweet potatoes, and this is the final result. And it's no different than mashed potatoes, or sweet potato pie filling, sort of, kind of. Just not as sugary, and of course you have that skin in there, so you have those pieces that you'll be eating as well. And it's just something nice and easy to go along with the chicken that we just made. Yes, ma'am. Bomb.com. Now, since we have just made the sweet mashed potatoes, I'm also going to I'm not going to cook anything right now, but I'm just going to show you other things that I include with that meal. So I have the chicken, the potatoes, and now these are just some of the things that I use for the vegetable, the green that I need on my plate, basically. So stuff like this, the vegetable mix in the frozen section at your local grocery store, I find very helpful. I love peas, so I'll just get stuff like this that I can put in the microwave, and that actually lasts me quite a bit of time. I know sometimes with fresh produce, fresh vegetables, I want to eat them right away, so I'll be able to freeze those over long periods of time. Is very helpful until I'm actually ready to eat them. And then I also do stuff like this. Mushrooms, I'll saute these with like the bell pepper and onion mix in the freezer that I used with the chicken earlier, or with the what did I cook earlier? Well, the taco meat earlier, how I put that in before I put the meat in. So I'll do that with mushrooms, a little olive oil in there, be just as good with the potatoes and the chicken. So that's it, guys. That is just two of the things I make. I'm also a huge fan of chili, so I do have a chili that I like to make quite often. And I'm still learning. I'm still, you know, collecting recipes. A lot of what I showed you today was off of the internet, along with my own twist and things that I learned along the way that I've incorporated. But stay tuned, because for dinner tonight, it's going on 5 o'clock, and I usually eat dinner around 6:30 or 7, and I'm going to show you how I assemble my taco salad. That is what I'm having for dinner tonight. So stay tuned for that. I'm finna take a shower. I'm finna get out of these workout clothes. I came straight home from working out and the grocery store and then started this. So I'm going to go get decrustified, and then I will see y'all in a minute. Peace. All right, YouTube fam, I am back. I am ready to have some dinner, and so I will be making and prepping the taco meat that I made earlier. And basically, I'm just going to show you how I layer it and assemble it, because it's a little different than how you would maybe do nachos or tacos or something like that. So before I get into it, I'm just going to show you some of the replacements I use for certain things. So sour cream. It's really good, and I love sour cream, but it's not the best for you. A good replacement for sour cream, you guys, is Greek yogurt. Plain Greek yogurt. It tastes the exact same. Trust me, because I'm very picky with food, but it actually tastes the exact same, and it's much healthier for you. I could eat this entire container, put this entire container in my food, and it still would not be as fattening as sour cream. So you're cutting back a lot of calories with that. And then blue chips. Now what I do, I actually follow the serving size. So all of this information back here on this label tells you what's in 13 chips, right? Because 13 chips is our serving size, and there's 8 servings in here, meaning that I should be able to go in this bag 8 times from the time I buy it to the time I throw it in the trash can. So what I do is I take 13 chips and I sprinkle it on top, as opposed to eating 13 whole chips, because most of the time you have more filling than you have chip, and then you end up getting more chips, which we don't need. We don't need the extra calories, so we're just going to sprinkle them over the top so we still get the crunch but not the calories. So let's see how I put this thing together. That is how I make my taco salad. And you know, don't be afraid to get in there. I like to layer it like this because what's hot stays hot at the bottom with the meat and the cheese. The lettuce stays nice and cool, and then you have all the good stuff on top, you know what I'm saying? And so you really get a full bite of everything when you eat it like this. I mean, it's just my personal preference. You may like something different, but it just works. It works. You just get a big spoonful of everything. So good. But that is the end of this video, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that what I shared helped you even a little bit, just with, you know, learning how to better take care of ourselves. You're never too young to start. I'm 23, but I still have to watch, you know, what I eat, especially being out here in Dallas where there's food everywhere and it's so easy to get big. It's so easy because the food is so good. So we have to find ways, Texans, to be strong and combat the smothered everything, you know? So this is just one of my ways of doing it. The chicken is another. So, again, I hope that something I said, something I showed you helped. And don't forget to come back and see your girl here at Let's Talk, where we encourage, empower, and enlighten. I love you guys so much. Mwah! And I will see y'all prayerfully next week.
Stay empowered and in it when it's hard to see. Patient come with time. Just keep on believing. Yeah, we got to stay prayed up when it don't feel like enough. Hold on to the grind. Come renew your mind. Yeah. Let's talk. Let's talk. Hang together.